Hello everyone, how are you all doing? So today I wanted to talk about always asking what's next, and sort of not being satisfied with your current situation. And I think maybe a lot of you can relate to this. I don't know whether for me it's because in my previous job it was a 6 month contract, and then this job it's until the end of 1 week before the end of July sort of thing. Until because it will be breaking up for the summer holiday. The schools break up for the holiday, and so that's when I have my holiday. um, but so it's a very short contract, and I was thinking about it today. So I was speaking to my boss, and yeah, it's quite interesting because I guess since starting working full time in September with my previous job, I haven't had a job that I've known it'll be long term. And just generally, I think with things I do, I'm thinking about like the next bit, or like I have a goal, and then if you reach that goal, it's like, oh, what's next? Which I think is like in some ways it's a good mindset to have, but it's sort of, if it's that kind of when this or if this happens, then I'll feel almost like better that has happened. So like, for example, getting a new job, or getting onto the masters. It's kind of, I don't know, I feel like I expect to feel more when I don't want to say achieve, but I guess in some ways I achieve that thing of like the next thing, ticking the next thing off the list, but then the actual satisfaction from that doesn't last for very long. And I was watching a guy called Dr. Chris G, who I've watched for quite a while now, and he actually did a short on this, I think, today, because he hit 10,000 subscribers. Congratulations to him, which that's just amazing. But it did make me think. So at the moment, I'm fairly close to 500, and I thought, oh, when I reach 500, that's like a mini milestone, isn't it? But then it's kind of like I'm almost expecting that to feel better. Oh, I see writing on my hand from what I had on today again. Almost feel like I imagine it will feel really good to reach that goal, but actually it's that kind of cliche of enjoying or like cherishing the journey rather than the destination. And I think I need to remind myself that sometimes is kind of appreciate the present and immerse yourself in the present and not always be looking forward, and thinking about what's next, because then we sort of get lost in this limbo of not being satisfied until something happens, until you get that job, until you get that promotion, or I feel better when this happens or that happens. But actually, I think it's balancing, spoken about this before, I know, but balancing having those aspirations and knowing where you want to be in terms of improving your own life and your own situation, maybe your mental, physical health, but then also appreciating that takes time, and it's really important to see that for what it is and see how can we make the most of where we're currently at, like striving of course for more, but then also knowing that we're enough where we're at the moment, like in the here and now, and instead of having that resistance, like constantly resisting where we're at currently, our situation, how we're doing, and all these things, accepting where we're at and at the same time striving to improve. It sounds like the two things can't happen at the same time. I think they can. It's like having enough sort of striving for, oh, that's quite cool. See a plane, which is actually quite low, just flying up. Yeah, a balance between striving for more, enough of that desire for like improving your life, whilst also accepting the reality of your life currently, and knowing that where you're at now is enough, and it's enough. Like I don't know, it sounds again like kind of contradictory, but yeah, sort of sitting with however you're feeling at the moment, processing it, and knowing that it's okay to be where you're at the moment, and to feel how you're feeling, and to be in the situation where you're at now. So that self-acceptance, but also that self-belief to improve, because maybe you're not satisfied with your life. So does that make sense? Sort of like having enough resistance to want to reach your potential and strive, but also having enough acceptance to accept where you're currently at, and not be always looking for the next thing and putting the next thing on this like pedestal of, when I reach there I'll feel happy, because a lot of like maybe like arbitrary goals that we have are a way of sort of, I think, coping, or not coping, like almost repressing, or not wanting to tackle the things that are going on for ourselves currently, and actually thinking that, oh well, whatever's going on for me, when this happens, this whatever this thing is, like getting a job, promotion, whatever, yeah, of course these things are going to be impactful and they're going to probably improve your life, but it's almost like displacing the negative feelings and thinking, oh, I don't need to worry about them, because actually everything's going to fall into place when this happens. But how often does that actually happen? And how often is it sort of like, oh well, I've got this now, but I've still got all that other stuff that I'm carrying, that maybe we've got this now, but then how much of all of that are we still carrying, because they're separate, and this maybe like arbitrary thing that we're striving for isn't enough to counteract that. And I feel like that sometimes. It's kind of like, okay, whatever I might be struggling with, that'll be eased, or like, oh, I'll feel good when I get the job, or I know that my future's a bit more set up because I'm starting the course. That's definitely true. I definitely feel like they're both really big positives that are helping me in my life massively. But at the same time, it's like that comes with new challenges, and whatever maybe I haven't dealt with in my own life, whether that's from the past or like ongoing things that I'm processing or struggling with, they still need to be dealt with at the same time, and they don't suddenly go away when other things fall into place. Like all these things kind of need to be contained and processed as like an ongoing thing, and not seen as, when one positive happens, it doesn't like necessarily outweigh multiple things that still need to be dealt with. So yeah, it's kind of my thoughts today, in terms of, yeah, like I feel like I'm quite ambitious, and I do want to be striving to improve myself and my own life, my situation. And I think that's really important, but it's also balancing that with the accepting myself, and processing my own things. And I guess the striving for me is actually a big one, that is striving for better mental health, because I do think that is like a massive component of our lives. Obviously it's a massive thing, because then all these different areas of our life tend to improve as a result, if we can improve our mental health. and we learn how to deal with external things, and learn how to cope with the reality of life, where there is going to be stuff that is really difficult for us, and really difficult in the world generally. We learn how to cope with that better, and it doesn't become so much all this stuff is happening to me. It's kind of like, okay, all this stuff is happening, but I have enough resilience, and I've improved my mental health and improved how I deal with things, so that these things aren't as scary anymore. I think that is quite a big thing with anxiety. It's like all these things feel like they're happening to you, and I guess it depends on the way you frame it. Maybe to some extent they are, but it's like you have a certain level of control over how you're responding, and these perceived threats, if we kind of rewire and reframe how we look at them, it takes quite a bit of weight off them, and we understand the power and the control that we have in how we're responding to these external things, and the fears that we have. Yeah, does that make sense? I feel like I've gone round in circles, but I think, again, my main points, we should be striving for more. I think we should always be striving for more, but we should also have a level of like contentment in the here and the now, and being present with life and seeing things as ebbing and flowing, knowing that these good things, some good things aren't always gonna, like, they might last for a long time, but some things might kind of be like up and down. So the good thing might then turn into a bad thing, or the good thing might the good thing could be like getting a promotion, and then that might seem like a really good thing, and then, for example, that could actually then have a negative. And it's like not basing your happiness or putting too much value in the good or the bad, knowing that the two can change very often, and just kind of finding a bit more of a middle ground of satisfaction with this middle phase, knowing that life's going to be up and down all the time, and not putting as much weight on the external things and these arbitrary things, and more looking inwards at why we're, like, our motivations behind why we're striving for certain things, and whether it's coming down to maybe a resistance to wanting to deal with other things, and just displacing that, if that makes sense. Yeah. So what am I going to call this video? Always asking, or I don't know maybe some of you can give me some ideas, but because I want this message to kind of be shared with other people, and know what other people think about this, and whether people agree, disagree, maybe partially agree, partially disagree. I'd love to hear everyone's opinion, because it's something that I'm going to feel differently about sometimes too. It's just my opinion right now on it, and that's very open to change and discussion. So yeah, maybe feeling dissatisfied with life, like, and learning how to be satisfied with what we have. Yeah, something like that. Anyway, hope you've all had a lovely day. My day at work was pretty good, generally pretty good, and I've got uni tomorrow. I'm just gonna chill tonight with my girlfriend, and maybe I need to plan, because I've got a presentation tomorrow for uni with my course mate, and that is on spirituality, so that'll be fun. And yeah, have a lovely day, everyone. Lovely rest of your day. Be kind to yourselves, be kind to others, and take care.